My father was ill, so everything just got worse. And the people will tell you that cancer and stress, don't go hand in hand. But I wanted to survive. I wanted to live for my family, especially, being a single mom. My name is Arana Thompson. I am a breast cancer survivor. I should say fighter, because even though you are diagnosed with breast cancer and you have survived surgery and chemotherapy, you're still a fighter, because there's so much more regarding the aftercare of, the symptoms, and you're still fighting to stay alive, right? I am 48 years old. I found out 2 years ago that, on my birthday, in fact, that I have breast cancer. And the funny way of finding out is that I went to my gynecologist in May of 2022. I have fibroids, so we were focusing on that, and then I told him about the sharp pains I was having in my left breast. And he just wrote up like the ultrasound paper, the mammogram paper, didn't say anything to me. He asked me about the pain. I said what I was doing in the meantime was just taking painkillers and rubbing Vicks on the pain area. Right? He said Vicks, and I said yeah, because a lot of Jamaicans, a lot of Caribbean persons, anything where pain is concerned, we use Vicks for that. So it was funny that, he kept calling me, because I said it was probably April or May. So he kept calling me like in June, the first part of June, have you done, the mammogram as yet? And we were really focusing on the fibroids, but he said the mammogram. I said, okay, this sounds serious now. I said, well, I can't get any time off from my workplace because it's a busy period for them, but I always take time off around my birthday. So I scheduled the mammogram test to be on the 8th of June. My birthday is the 9th. And then they called me and said I have to reschedule. So okay, fine. So now I'm going to have to do tests on my birthday. I wanted to do all my tests the day before the birthday should be free. When I actually went to do the ultrasound and the mammogram, the whole procedure is that for the ultrasound you have to drink up a lot of water. And I needed to use the bathroom so badly that is what I was focusing on. So when they did the mammogram, right, and then I went into the ultrasound room after, all of a sudden the doctor put the ultrasound machine on my breast. So if I'm doing ultrasound, what is she doing up there? Because I already did a mammogram. But she was actually double checking. And she sent me back into the mammogram room because she obviously wanted to double check, triple check everything. And I found that strange and a little bit alarming. And I had to say to them, listen, remember, I have to do the ultrasound because I need to use the bathroom. I can't hold it any longer. Eventually, I did that. And then she went back on my breast after. And she said to me, Miss Thompson, you've been here before. And you didn't have to wait on your doctor to basically give you lab sheets, etc. If you felt like there was something wrong with your breast, why didn't you come to me? And I'm wondering where she's going with this conversation. So I said to her, what happened, doc? And she just shook her head. And I said, is it cancer? And she said, it can't be anything else. Because it's to wonder how I got it at that stage. It's not a lump. It was a mass. It took up, a little bit more than half of my breast. And she could confirm that based on her experience without even doing a biopsy. But you still need to do the biopsy so that, we can find out what type of breast cancer it is and for documentation reasons to say, yes, I have breast cancer. But from right there, on my birthday, I found out that I have breast cancer. And, the next stage was to, as soon as I got in my car, I called the gynecologist and I told him. And he sent me the information immediately for a surgeon that he wanted me to speak to, and because I think my birthday fell on a Thursday, the Friday was out of it, so I had to wait till the following week, and I met with the surgeon. And he wrote up the information for me to do the biopsy, and I went back to the same lab, and he kept on feeling underneath my armpit area as well. So since the cancer was in the left breast, he kept, feeling around the area underneath my armpit And, the look on his face meant that he felt something there, again, based on his experience. And it means that I had to do the biopsy, not just on the breast, but also underneath my armpit. And that was not a very pleasant experience. I think the biopsy on the breast was not as bad as the armpit, because there is this clamping sound. Even though they numb the area, because you have to be awake for it, they numb the area, but you would hear bloom. It was just something else, bloom, because she had to take many samples in order to double check, if I actually have cancer underneath my armpit as well, which I didn't know anything about lymph nodes, etc. If for Jamaicans, we call lymph nodes wax and cannon. So we have them in certain areas, neck, armpit, and groin area. They're all over your body though, but the ones that are pronounced. Anyway, what I like about the lab that I went to, I was able to get back the results in 1 week. And I was at work, I got the call to say that the biopsy results were ready. And I drove like hell in my lunchtime and went and collected them. I scanned the information, because some things I can't understand, the medical terminology, and I sent everything to the gynecologist. But, to backtrack, when that doctor was speaking to me after the ultrasound on my breast, I can never forget that she took the ultrasound machine and tapped me on my head, like conked me, because she was so upset to say that it reached that far and I didn't pick up on it. I would do a mammogram every year from I reached 40, and only 2 years I missed it because of 2020 with the pandemic and the COVID restrictions. And I didn't do it 2021. I was focusing mostly on family. I have elderly parents, and getting them the COVID shots, keeping them in, staying safe. That was my main focus, and that's why I missed the 2 years of mammogram tests. So, sometimes you probably blame yourself, because that's why I want to spread awareness, because I'm wondering, is it my fault, why all of this happened, because I didn't go that year, 2020 or 2021. Anyway, it was just time now to schedule the surgery, and I went to the hospital, and checking in, have to pay big deposit, thank God for credit card, and checking into the hospital to do the surgery the next day. It was a Thursday, the surgery would be on a Friday. You'd not believe what happened. Starting from the Thursday night, I couldn't find my vein. It was a whole lot of craziness going on with me and the nurses. And then long and short of it, the day of the surgery now, the power went. So I'm like, this is a sign. The power went. And in the major, even though they had like a backup system, it was just too much. It went from not just that area, it affected like most of Hertfordshire. I can never forget that. And the surgeon came to me and told me to pack my bags, and we rescheduled for next week. So in waiting on the next date for the surgery, I found out I had COVID. So I'm wondering, did I get it in the hospital? Because I would have had done a COVID test before, prior to being admitted. And I was negative, and now I have COVID. And I brought COVID home to the entire family. I gave everybody COVID in here. And I had to wait again for clearance in order to set a new date for the surgery. So I ended up doing the surgery, I think, in August, because I found out the June, the surgery should have been July, and I did it the early part of August. And, that's like 3 months, roughly. How many weeks? 6 weeks recovery. I got additional time from my office, And during that period of recovery, my father was ill, so everything just got worse. And the people will tell you that cancer and stress, don't go hand in hand. But I wanted to survive. I wanted to live for my family, especially, being a single mom. I have a son, and my focus was on him mainly, because he had CSEC exams coming up. And I said to myself, should I tell him, at the time, about the cancer? And I did, and he was able to pass his exams and move on to sixth form. And that was it. My father passed. That was a hard time for me, because if I did the surgery in August, he died in October. This year marks 2 years now since he passed. And I would start running joke with my family saying, you know, this is our first Christmas without him, and at least the worst is over. I thought that was it. You know, you do the surgery and chemo coming up, and then that's it. That's how you treat cancer. There's a lot more. There's a lot more. So when the surgeon actually had to introduce me to a hematologist, that's who would perform the chemotherapy. When I met with the chemotherapist or hematologist, she told me that I need to start the chemo now, right? And my test results were going to the lab. Otherwise, yes, I know I had cancer, but then they have to find out what type of cancer in order to treat it. I didn't know your different type of breast cancers. So it turned out that I was HER2 positive, which it's a type of cancer that have protein that increases the cancer cells, and it means that the cancer is aggressive. So I can't wait. I can't basically keep delaying the chemotherapy. When I heard I needed the ports because of the issues with my veins, and I need to put a port in my chest in order to get the chemotherapy, and prices are coming up now. And she would give advice. I think some of these doctors can probably provide more advice where, you know, the Ministry of Health is concerned, and Chase Fund. There are so many organizations and entities out there that can assist you. But she told me about going to a hospital that basically would put the port in free. It's a public hospital. So when I went there to put in the port, I tortured the entire day because they have to deal with the persons who are on their ward first. And I would go there from before 8 o'clock in the morning, and it's not until 4:30 that they finally wheel me in to, and that was December. I wanted to wait until the following year to get the port in because I don't want to have any pain during my Christmas. Seriously, that's trivial. I had to do it. I actually missed an award ceremony where my company was going to award me for being at the company for 15 years. So the day when they had the award ceremony, I was running the tests in order to get the port in. So I was at that hospital sorting that out. And again, because it was free, they don't put you to sleep. They just numb the area, and that, you know, there are times when the drug would wear off, so you start feeling the pain, and then you have to say, hey, I'm feeling it now, and then they have to stick back. And I'm terrified of needles. But putting in the port would be the better way than for them to keep checking my veins, and I would have a time when my veins just keep popping on them, and they would search all over my hand looking for different areas to, you know, even draw blood. So I said there's no way I could have gotten the chemotherapy through that method. So I started the chemotherapy in 2023, January, and that was like every 3 weeks for January, February, March, April, May, right? So that's 5 months. And thank God for health insurance, even though the running up and down to get the drugs, that was not, even the National Health Fund wouldn't have everything. That's a government entity. I would have to be at, you know, a specific pharmacy all the way up Gordon Town, making sure that I have everything. I ate everything, probably some of the things I shouldn't have, according to some persons, I shouldn't be eating. And I think it helped because I would pass every blood test, because you have to keep doing tests before you start do the chemotherapy, like a couple days before. And if everything checks out okay, then I can do the chemo. But starting the chemotherapy, I was still at work. And, you know, the side effects at first would be like vomiting, diarrhea. It's funny. There is a time when I remember I'm having diarrhea, and then my head is at the face base, and so I'm doing one thing at one end, and the other end I'm throwing up. But, you know, there are ways to control it. Your doctor should know your side effects, and you can basically get drugs to curb or take them before the chemo, to curb the vomiting, curb the diarrhea. So those helped. I still feel nauseous, and there are still other side effects. When I started losing my hair, it came out in like clumps. I'd watch movies and see people, you know, lose the hair. I didn't know that there was a pain. Pain is associated with it. My scalp was, this is past tender, it hurt. So I went to my hairdresser and he said, just come, you don't have to pay. Let me just shave off what is left. And it felt so much better. It's like the pain actually, I don't know, getting rid of the hair follicles, everything. It was so much more comfortable with a bald head than every minute I would just touch part of my head and then there's just hair coming out. And it's kind of depressing too, but you know, losing the hair on my head was the least in comparison to how my skin was stripping, no eyebrows, eyelashes, everything, hair everywhere just went. For some persons, I know I'm telling my story, but I would meet persons in the chemotherapy room that I'm glad that I was able to, with the help of my union, they fought for me to work from home. My job, I can work from home. But, you know, there's some persons in your company, whether supervisors, managers, and you have to wonder, they're women too, where empathy is concerned, they don't have it. I don't know if, I didn't want to be a pity case, but at the same time, I'm going through this and this is not like a common cold, you know. So that part, you know, thank God for the union. But as I said, I would meet persons that they only got 2 days off, the day for the chemo, the day after when you feel sick. Because you feel sick through the whole thing, but the first day, it might be worse. And I'm like, God, I have a lot to be grateful for because I'm able to afford that opportunity to work from home. And there are so many persons that didn't have the same type of health insurance. Yes, it still took a toll on my pocket, a lot. It's still taking a toll on it, but I'm still grateful because it could have been worse. So the thing about being HER2 positive is that there's another drug, and that drug is like $300,000 every 3 weeks. In order to be on that drug, and I would get that shot, is an injection immediately after I finish the chemo. So I do the chemo now and give it like 5-10 minutes, the doctor is ready to give me that drug. And that drug I found out after, no one told me before, that it causes heart problems, heart failure and other heart issues. And so now I have to be doing heart tests. Some persons do it every month. For me, the doctor said, you know, every 3 months is good. We can work with that because technology, medicine has advanced. And, you know, at first when persons knew about the Herceptin, they didn't know some of the side effects and how drastic it would be on some persons. So they used to do it every month. So now it's every 3 months. But it's just a lot. And I'm still stressing on the expenses because even to find out that I was HER2 positive, it's a good thing that, you know, I reach out to persons on my birthday exactly a year after I found out about the cancer. And I put something on Facebook. And then friends started reaching out to me and who decided to give me, even if it's a tiny donation, it helped. Because I was able to pay some of these overseas labs, you know, the fees that you have to send US overseas to get back this and that. And it's just a lot. And I still owe my surgeon a bit of money. And the surgery was like 4.2 million. I stress on persons now getting, as soon as you start working, male or female, especially women, you know, critical insurance. So it doesn't mean just breast cancer alone, because, you know, being homesick, whether it's prostate cancer, whatever it is, different cancers or there are different illnesses, you need to take out a critical insurance as soon as you start working. So I'm glad that I did it. You know, it's a pity I didn't increase the amount at the time because it probably paid off like 3/4 of the bill, which is a lot, but there's still the remainder. So I would reach out way after when I found out that the government, you know, agencies can actually assist, but they're taking their time to pay the doctor right now. But at least I got the commitment letter, so I have to, you know, wait on them to pay him. Where pride is concerned, to see the surgeon just for a consultation is $10,000 every visit, and He doesn't take health card. Everything is a claim form. And to find that $10,000 up front, it's not practical every time. So I have a few appointments outstanding. You know, there is an issue. Oh, I should have said this before. When my surgery being that amount of money, you know, I decided to clean up both breasts because the breast that usually has issues was my right breast, and I would have cysts in there. And that's why I said to you that where I did the lab test, I've been there before, because I have fibrocystic breast, and it means that it's bumpy and it's dense. So doing self-checks, checking for cancer, that's something I've been doing from in my 20s, and because I always have bumpy breasts. So I don't know if you say, well, I took it for granted because it's always at that state that breast cancer, I can't tell if I have it because I'm always having this issue with the bumps in my breast. So I neglected it just due to the pandemic, and probably, as I said, took it for granted that if I felt a lump, it's because of that. It was always bumpy, lumpy. And I cleaned out both of them because if the other one was packed with cysts, why am I keeping it? And the recurrence, especially because I'm HER2 positive, and they said it was aggressive, it makes sense to do that. But the thing I forgot to mention is that the biopsy that was done underneath my armpit, they didn't find any cancer there because we found out way after that the doctor that did the test took fatty tissue. So the surgeon said basically what he would do, because he knows that cancer is underneath my armpit, he removed roughly 15 lymph nodes and found cancer in a couple of them. So when I was diagnosed at the time, they said it was stage 2. And stage 2 meant that I didn't have it underneath the armpit. So I'm not even sure what stage I am at right now. Then I should say, because I'm hoping, praying that I'm cancer-free. I have not done the final test yet. There are some things that, it's still money. I have to make sure that I find out the costing, do my budget, and I'm hoping that by January I'll have all the funds to do that, and I can say that I'm cancer-free. But the HER2 positive cancer patients, normally when you take that drug, or Herceptin, it's a target drug. That's why it's so expensive as well. And even to get that drug was a challenge, because I have to reach out to strangers to be guarantors. Can you imagine, just like you're taking out furniture at a furniture store, I have to get a guarantor for this. It means that I had to tell more persons that I have breast cancer and I need this drug, and they have to give out their personal information, like their banking information, all of that, much money. It's just a lot to ask someone to do. But I did it, and I got like 3 guarantors. They only needed 1 or 2, and I got like 3. And I'm still here. I'm still fighting it, because now I have lymphedema. So I have to do physiotherapy every 2 weeks, and I get taping to drain the fluid. I get massages to drain the fluid. I have a friend that was doing chemotherapy with me, and she passed last week Wednesday because she wasn't getting the proper aftercare. And I would tell her about the different government agencies that can assist her, the different, physiotherapy that can be done, send the information to her, anything that I could. And she opted to do chemotherapy first to shrink the cancer. I didn't want to keep the breast, so I had nothing to shrink. And I just feel bad that if she knew all of these things that I'm doing, even though I still don't know everything, she probably could still be here today, because she has a teenage daughter that is just, she's taking it really hard. And since her death, I have started to watch my diet, to see what else do I need to do to take better care of myself. And I didn't do radiation the surgeon and the hematologist had an argument about it because the hematologist was a young doctor. She consulted a few radiologists that she knew, and they said, if I did surgery on both breasts, why do I need radiation? And my surgeon he's old-fashioned, he's been in the business long ago, and this is something he would just write up everything. But I was so happy that I didn't do the radiation because that's another bag of money that I avoided. And even the thought when I said to you that I'm going to do the final test in January, I'm just really praying that I'm cancer-free because I didn't do the radiation, which I was supposed to do. But, the argument between both doctors to say I should do it or I shouldn't do it. And being, as much as I think that I am strong or I have courage with certain things, I'm a coward in some areas. And I've seen what radiation has done to a lot of persons. And if they're convinced, because she spoke to 2 other, radiologists, and they said, I don't need to do it, I was happy to hear that. So I'm praying that, again, as I said, I will be 100% cancer-free, and I, going forward, will continue doing whatever research I can. I am going to join some other cancer support groups because the doctors don't tell you everything, and it's like they know that they have to do the surgery, they have to do, the chemotherapy, the radiation, and that's it. What about your diet? What caused it? I would hear that it's a mixture of everything. Your hair products, your bath gel, the deodorant, everything. Then I hear that that's a myth. I don't know what to believe. I hear that it's the junk food. And I'm just going to try and live my best life and be healthier and promote long living.